All right, everybody, welcome to the 37th episode of the Vero Beach Social Media Pop-Up Podcast. We've taken a little break, but we're back, and I'm here with the owner and operator of 21st Amendment Distillery, Jeff Pileski. How are you?
Good, man.
The first question I have for you is, did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you got it right.
Most people say Pileski, don't they?
Either one's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Jeff Pileski.
Yeah.
And you're opening up a distillery, 21st
Correct.
Amendment Distillery, downtown. Most of the people that are listening or watching, I'm sure, have heard and seen all the construction and all that.
Yes.
And we're filming this in mid-August, and you've got some pretty good news. We're finally going to be opening here soon, right?
Yeah. So we're shooting for some of our soft openings the end of this month.
Okay. All right. Finally.
So, yeah, I know. It's been a grind for sure.
So how long have you been working on this project?
So this really, we took the building over about 18 months ago. Prior to that, planning, architectural planning, stuff like that. So that's been about 2 years, but the overall project probably about 3 years.
All right. So you've been doing this from concept to now has been about 3 years. What caused you to come up with this concept?
So, this has been a dream of mine for a while, just leaving, wanting to leave corporate America and kind of do my own thing. Fell in love with distilling and, the whole process of distilling alcohol really appealed to me. So just wanted to launch this dream, and it's finally here.
So what got you into distilling? How did you create that passion?
So I think you and I have talked about this before.
You and I have talked about a lot of this stuff, but these guys haven't heard it.
So I was in I served I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years, and I grew up. My dad, my parents were pretty much just beer and wine drinkers, and we didn't have a lot of. Vodka and stuff like that, but we didn't have a lot of brown around the house. We didn't have a lot of bourbon. We didn't have a lot of whiskey. So that was, it was a little bit out of my wheelhouse at the time. But when I went to the Marine Corps, when we'd come back from doing our field duties and stuff like that, our exercises, oftentimes they'd have these huge tents set up with beer and other stuff, so you could relax after a long day. So we were in line, and the beer lines were so long. You'd be in the beer line, and you'd get up, and then you'd grab 2 beers, and then you and your buddies would walk around and just get back in line. But after doing this a few times, I noticed across the tent, this huge tent, like a football field type tent. Across the tent, there was a smaller line with 10 other Marines in the line, just, doing something over there. I didn't know what. So I had my buddies hold my place, went over there, and they had Jack Daniels and Jim Beam. So a whiskey and a bourbon. And, the line was so short. I jumped in the line. I got my, the line's so short you could, you only needed to get one cocktail, one with some ice. So went in, and so really that was my introduction to whiskey right there, Jim Beam, and that was back in 1996, somewhere around there. So got out of the Marine Corps, just really started researching whiskey and, going to distilleries and stuff like that, and just fell in love with the whole history of bourbon and what it's done, in the United States. And really, the other thing that appealed to me is bourbon whiskey is our drink. It's our juice. It's America's beverage. So we can't say that a lot about a lot of stuff nowadays.
Yeah, it's not tequila, it's agave.
Right.
Yeah, I've
True.
learned that. And gin, I'm sure, is not an American thing.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you went around distilleries, you learned how to make this stuff, and then you said, hey, I want to do this for everybody. Yeah. Okay.
There's a school or a program in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'll give them props. It's called Moonshine University. It's a really good program. It's like a week-long crash course, kind of an all-day thing every day, and they go through basically A to Z on distilling, mashing, the business end of it, the distilling. So I attended that school, and then, traveled around to different distilleries, worked at a couple different distilleries, and kind of got a good understanding of how things work, and had a lot of exposure to a couple different ways of doing things, which was really good.
All right, so you're doing this here in Vero. What brought you to Vero, and why are you doing it here?
Great question. So I back in I think it was 2010, around there. I was in Tampa, living in Tampa, and working out there. I met my wife Jen, who you know. She was in Vero, and at the time I could have lived anywhere in Florida. So when we got together and decided to get married, I moved to Vero. And it was tough the first year, just, not knowing anyone. And at the time I was traveling a lot for my last job. So kind of living out of a suitcase was difficult. But as I, got to know people in Vero, it just became evident to me that this was going to be the place, where we were going to lay down anchor. So Jen really loved it here, and I got to love the town a lot. So it didn't occur to me, another city or town didn't really occur to me. It was always, we were going to do this in Vero. I think Vero is the perfect place for it. I think the downtown area is coming alive. I think there's a lot of things going on in Vero. We have a lot of great people in this town that I think are going to help us enjoy this thing.
Well, you're talking about downtown. You guys are on 13th Avenue, not 14th.
Right.
But you're in a pretty historic building. Do you want to talk about the significance of that building?
Yeah. It's so the building is it's. We had to really update this thing because it was
Well, how old is it?
It was so old. So it's funny. The exact date, the books are a little fuzzy back then. The city wasn't. They didn't have the great people in at the helm in the city that we have now, keeping track of this stuff. But so it's probably 80, 90 years old, somewhere in there. But this building was the first grocery store in Vero Beach. It was the A&P grocery store. So, and I'll say it this way because some people might say, well, there was another smaller one, but it was the first grocery store with actual aisles, like legit aisles. So it was the A&P. As a matter of fact, and you've seen it, our private tasting room in the way back it's a special room just because that was the back in the day, that was where they kept their produce. It was like a walk-in cooler, but they kept it chilled with ice, blocks of ice. Not it was before electricity. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I have been in it, and I was in it pre-construction, and the insulation in that room was unbelievable.
We pulled out. My nephew and I pulled out like at least a dumpster worth of styrofoam, because that's how they had the walls and the ceiling. It was like a like a dungeon in there.
So you've thrown up a few walls, but other than that, talk about the other construction that you've had to do in this facility to create a distillery in an 80 or 90-year-old building.
Yeah, it's a lot more than I thought and expected, but we had to upgrade the electric. We had to upgrade all the plumbing. We had to upgrade all the exterior electric, plumbing, and everything. So that was quite a project. The inside, we had to dig trenches. You remember that place, my GC Robert Paw and I laughed because one day before the trenches were dug and stuff in there, he told me, because we did all the demo, if you recall. He wanted me to sweep up the floors and give a good sweep and clean up and get the dust down, and we did that and spent like a half day making sure it was nice and tidy, and came in the next day and the tractors were all in there digging up the floor. So we laugh about that, but we did there, a lot of it had to be, the firewalls had to be put up. We had to do, 3-hour firewalls around the whole place. We had to fix one of the rooftops in there, one of the flat roofs. We had to shore that up. We had to put pilings in some of the walls to hold some of the weight. We had to put steel beams in the ceilings to hold the weight of the AC and stuff like that. There wasn't AC in the building at the time, so it's just a lot of stuff.
Well, it's incredible now. I mean, if you walk in there, you're about ready to open, and it looks like a totally different place from when we first started. We'll have to get a before and after picture for sure, because we have plenty of before photos. But yeah, it's an incredible building for anybody that's listening or watching. You have to go by and check it out. I want to talk a little bit about the name 21st Amendment. It seems that you're pretty passionate about that.
Yeah.
Talk about the 21st Amendment and why you named the distillery that.
So to me, it's on. There's a saying on most of our bottles that kind of explains how we kind of came to our name, the 21st Amendment, and the 21st Amendment is the amendment that overturned the 18th Amendment. For those that don't know that, the reason why it was significant to me is, this country's been in a very volatile time. There's a lot of things going on right now, and it's sometimes seems difficult for people to sit down and talk about their differences, and it's very polarized now. So that time in history, both sides, everybody got together and saw something that was really unjust. It was an amendment that the 18th Amendment was, it was just absurd, really, that basically banning adults from sitting down and having an alcoholic drink. It didn't make sense. So it was a time where folks got together, both sides of the aisle. It came, and it was a big issue. This was, never been done before.
I couldn't imagine if they passed an amendment like that today.
Yeah.
It would be a massive issue for a lot of people. We're sitting in the pub at Vero Beach Country Club, and this would be dry. They'd be serving soda.
Right. So it was just how amazing. It's just a good example of what can be accomplished with Americans if they team up and get together. And to me, that was very significant.
Okay, so it's 21st Amendment Distillery, and obviously there's historical significance. And in the shop, are there things, like I know you have this really cool Abraham Lincoln picture, and you have other, you've got a 48 star flag.
Yeah.
You've got some really, really cool things in there. What else do you have in there that kind of relates to the 1920s?
Ooh, so that really... our a lot of the decor in there, like you've seen it. A lot of the, my wife almost killed me one day because knowing that the theme was going to be speakeasy, we'd go away or early on, or even in Vero, going to some of these antique places and stuff like that. I got, our garage was full. The house was full at times. I had like 5 storage units just because purchasing some of this really nice older furniture, not knowing exactly how it was going to be or where it was going to go and be set up. You just kind of have to look at it and just sort of visualize the piece. And so we did that. I did that for a couple years, really. So a lot of the theme in there is speakeasy. So we have some older furniture in there. We turned we have a working piano. It's an upright piano. So we'll be using that for live entertainment. And then we turned a baby grand piano. We made it the top larger. So we made that actually like a bar, a high top bar that people can sit at. So you can get about eight people to sit at that, which is kind of cool. We have, what else do we have? Like you mentioned, the 48 star flag, which is kind of cool. But we got some other surprises too.
It's definitely got a speakeasy feel. You've got a little stage in the corner, and then you've got all these cool couches and tables, and it really will be a cool hangout. Just like a lounge to come and relax.
Yeah.
One thing I want to talk about a little bit is the cigars. So you're also going to have a cigar line.
Yeah.
Let's chat about that.
So I'm one of my bad habits is occasionally I'll smoke a cigar, but we partnered up with a company out in Tampa called Blanco. Blanco Cigars. They are located, their manufacturing facility is located in Nicaragua. Great facility. These guys make cigars for several other larger cigar manufacturers. I won't name them, but they make, for probably a dozen other very large cigar manufacturers. So met with these guys, told them what I wanted to do. We took a trip. I took a trip over to Nicaragua back in, I think it was last February, Valentine's Day, somewhere around there. I had to run that by Jen.
She come with
that
you?
wasn't easy. No. Cigar smoking's not her thing. So we went out there and got to everything. Got to go to the tobacco fields. Got to tour the factory, see some of the culture there. The host, David Blanco, was awesome. Real nice guy and real knowledgeable with his about cigars and the history of cigars. And Nicaragua, to me, was a no-brainer just because the volcanic soil in Nicaragua is perfect for cigars. It's a lot like how a vine for wine grapes grows. It's almost like the harder the vine has to work, the plant has to work, the better that yield is. So the better the fruit is, or the better the tobacco is. So when it grows in that real rough volcanic soil, it has to outperform really anything else. And so they have some really good tobacco plants there. So.
All right, so cigars, you're going to have those. And then you have a really cool program with the cigars and relating to veterans.
Yeah, we do one thing with the cigar, we have several different cigars there under the Blanco line, but we also blended when we were out there. We picked out some of our own wrapper, our own filler, our own leaf, and we actually made our own blended cigar. So we have a 21 AD 21st Amendment blended cigar, which will have our brand on it and everything. So we did that, and in conjunction to that, we came up with an idea to basically it's a program where we take, if anybody purchases a 21st Amendment cigar, and we'll have a little bucket there or something where they can put that in. We will match that, and we send these cigars. It's a Cigars for Warrior program. We'll match that. We'll drop a cigar in there, and then we'll send those cigars to active duty troops around the world.
That's pretty incredible. So the cigar thing is really cool with veterans, but you have a lot of other veteran-oriented things that you're doing with the distillery.
Yeah.
You want to rattle off some of those?
Yeah. So one was probably the biggest, the thing I'm most proud of is on our the east wall. So the wall where you enter into the distillery, we have what we call our wall of honor. And there's about it's gonna be about 50 flags in triangle display cases, and these flags are all veterans that have been deceased, that are deceased. There's really the only requirement is to be a deceased veteran and have to have served in the armed forces. It's not killed in action or anything like that. So it opens it up to all deceased veterans, and we take the funeral flag or a casket flag. It's a special flag that drapes on the veteran casket. We handmade 50 of these triangle cases. We couldn't find one that wasn't made in China, so we made them right here in Vero Beach. We have 3 shelves up on that wall. And all the flags will be up on that wall. So it's really special to us to kind of honor these guys. And then we'll have those. We have a bio that we associate to the flag. So folks that want a loved one or a friend up on the wall, there's a bio that they can fill out, and then that bio will be on our website. And then also down on the wall we have a plaque with that will have QR codes that folks in the distillery will be able to click on and learn about each veteran.
It's really, really cool. I've actually seen some of the flags up in construction, and it's cool because you don't really realize it's there until you kind of see it, and you're like, oh my God, this is really neat. You know, it's kind of up and out of the way. Yeah. But when you see it, it's impressive.
Yeah, and they're lit up. Like, so we had a cool thing. We had spotlight, like track lighting put up there. So they're all lit up properly. You know, so we're paying special tribute to all these veterans.
Another thing that you have that I thought was really cool was the challenge coins. You want to talk about those?
Yeah. So when you walk in, actually, that's that door. When you right in the restroom hallway, we have a 5x5 challenge coin display. Actually, across from the wall, we have a first responder patch wall. You know, we put Velcro on it, and we can, if you know, a police officer or a fireman or something wants to put a patch in there, we'll put the Velcro on there. So we have that. But across from that, we have challenge coins. So there's I don't know how many you can fit in there.
It looked like a lot.
Yeah. So we I mean, if you're going to do something, do it right. So we anybody that and you know, challenge coins now, it started in the service, but now, you know, first responders have them now. You know, cops, firemen, they all, a lot of them have them. So they'll be able to open the case and put a challenge coin in there. So it's going to be a nice little display.
So explain what a challenge coin is.
So there are a couple versions of the story, but one that's probably most accurate is back in the day. You know, I don't know when it came into effect, but higher ranks in the military started making their own coins, just because if one of their someone under their chain of command did something special that wasn't quite worthy of a medal, an official military medal, they would hand them a challenge coin for doing something special, you know, and that was like a tip of the cap. So then it kind of came down the chain of command. So it probably started with the generals, and then colonels and majors and stuff like that. And then it got into like the enlisted ranks and whatnot. So everybody kind of had their coins. So then from there, it sort of morphed into, if you're out at a bar or somewhere else, and you're a veteran, and you know the veteran's sitting there or whatever, and you know, you pull out the coin, put it there. If they don't have the coin, they have to buy the cocktail. The exchange is probably the most important thing. One of the correct way to offer someone a coin, and now it's about even civilians now have coins. You know, it's kind of a cool thing how it really kind of came into effect.
I have one from the fire department here. I played in it was
golf tournament,
country club.
Yeah, that was cool.
John O'Connor gave me one, and it kind of explained what you just explained to me, and said, just keep this on you, because if you're ever around a firefighter in a bar, you're gonna want to have this.
So you put it in your hand, and you go to shake that person's hand, and you basically present that. So now it's really about friendship, and just when you present it to someone, you're basically it's a sign of friendship.
Yeah, that's really cool. Again, and it's another piece of, I'll call it art in in the place that just you won't see anywhere else. You talked about something earlier that I want to go back to. You said that you handmade these flag frames, for lack of better terms, because you couldn't find any that were American made. Talk about your stills, how long it took you to get them, and how committed you were to making sure that you have American made everything in this place.
So we I couldn't imagine making bourbon whiskey on any type of still that wasn't made here in America. So that was important to me. It didn't make sense to me to it's not a slight against other distilleries, but to me it didn't make sense. We wanted American-made equipment in there, and we did that. We had to probably wait longer for this equipment, and probably it probably costs a little bit more in the long run. So, but it was important to us, so we really wanted to do that. So we will, we're our stills they were made from a company called Vendome out of Louisville, Kentucky. They're the oldest in the country, and they do it right. And it's an American-made shop, and that was important to us. So.
But yeah, when I say everything in there is American made, you're not kidding, man.
Yeah, it's we try and stick to that. It's important to us. It's important to keep products here in the United States, and we want to keep that going, and we try even down to the littlest thing. There are a couple things, sadly, that we have to source from other countries, but we're vigilant and having this all be made or produced in the U.S.
I can't remember a time where I saw a business open with someone that has so much attention to detail on everything.
I appreciate it.
You have really combed every hair on this place to make sure that everything is exactly how you want it to be, and it really is a testament to.
Thanks for noticing.
Yeah, it's
I don't
wild.
get a lot of sleep, but
it's wild.
Yeah.
But next, I want to talk about the spirits and the booze that you're going to make. We've got a whole lineup here. If you're watching, you can actually see these. We've got 7 different spirits here. Mm-hmm. You want to go down the line and talk about what each one is?
So these are all. This is our lineup right now. The first is our agave, and you actually mentioned it. I'll tell you, I think you could probably open a distillery after how many times.
We've learned quite a bit about this.
So actually, I appreciate it's been great working with you guys, just because you guys actually take interest into the companies that you deal with, and you really are pretty knowledgeable about the whole process now. So that's actually kind of a cool thing. Yeah.
Thanks. And don't get me wrong, this is a fun business to get into.
You can say it. I'm your most fun
it's
client.
It's not a payroll company, AYS, no offense.
No offense. But so the first one, and you mentioned it earlier, in the U.S., if it's produced in the U.S., it could be produce exactly how they produce it in Mexico, but we have to call it agave, even though it's basically tequila. But in the United States, we have to call it agave. Our agave we named In Truth in Latin. Vero means in truth or in truth, so we chose to name our agave In Truth Agave Spirit. Our second one is Min Pin Gin.
I love it.
You've met the little guy. He's the king of the house. Our little Min Pin Vinny. It was named after him, and we have a picture on the bottle. The 21 Salute. We named just to honor all veterans and active duty folks. So that's our probably our most special bourbon line right now. We actually launched our first barrel of this product is going to the World War. It's going to support the World War II memorial here in Vero Beach that we're in the process of raising funds for, and will be built hopefully sometime next year. So we released the first barrel of that is going to support them. Our kind of flagship 21 AD rye whiskey is the next one. So that's sort of our house rye whiskey, and then you have Term Limits vodka. I love that one. Term Limits vodka, and then we have Brackwater rum after the Brackwater, after the river and the beautiful Indian River Lagoon that we live on. We wanted to pay homage to that. And then our flagship bourbon, the 21 AD bourbon.
So the main question I think most novices would ask is, what's the difference between a rye whiskey and a bourbon? Because it sounds like it's the same.
Yeah, it's the easiest way to really remember that is you have to have 51% of both. So it's 50 for it to be a bourbon. You have to have 51% or more. It could be 100% corn, or 51% rye. So that's an easy way to remember. It has that 51% corn. If it's a bourbon, 51% rye for it to be a rye.
And then a bourbon has to be aged in barrels, and there's a very specific process and length of time, and there's a whole formula to that in order for you to legally call it bourbon, right?
Right, and you know we're going to do tours, and once we get open, we're going to do tours of the facility. We'll do 2 tours during the week, and then we're going to offer 3 tours during the weekends, and people can learn about not just the way bourbon and rye is made, but we're gonna go through it all. You'll learn how rum's made, vodka, gin, the whole deal.
Now, gin, vodka, rum, even whiskey can be made pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The bourbon takes years.
That takes, so that's the long one. I mean, there's a bourbon can be quicker, but for it to be an aged bourbon, obviously it has to sit in the barrel longer. So there are some things you can do to break out that whiskey a little sooner. But we're going to hold on to our whiskey for about 4 years and age it 4 years, and then we'll take it out and bottle it at that time.
And you have a barrel investment program. I don't know if you have a cap on how many of those you're selling or how many you've sold, or
we've sold. So to raise some capital, we actually pre-sold some whiskey barrels. That program was very successful. It's still open right now, so there is still an opportunity to pre-invest in some of our whiskey barrels. Basically, it's the juice in the whiskey. It's a compounded interest situation, and as time goes on, the value of that whiskey grows at a compounded rate, and then in 6 years, you have the opportunity to take what's in that barrel, we bottle it, or you can actually take the compounded interest, take the cash and run.
So I buy a barrel, 6 years later, I sell it back to you for a lot more than I paid for it, or I pay you a bottling fee, you bottle it up, and I get to take it home, and I can gift it, I can drink it, I can do whatever I want.
Correct.
It's kind of
correct.
A cool
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah, it is. It is. There's another caveat to that for bourbon people. We can also, so it's illegal for us to actually, roll the barrel out and put it in your trunk. We're not allowed to do that, but we could put it in a temporary container, whether it's a plastic carboy or something like that, put it in there, give you the barrel that the juice was in, you take the barrel home and actually deposit that juice back in that barrel that it was just in, and you could further continue to age it.
So what's the benefit of aging it longer than 6 years?
God, that's there's a lot of back and forth on that. Some people think 4 years is sort of the sweet spot, or 4 to 6 years is the sweet spot. You have bourbons now that are, you've seen it, 25 year bourbon. So, I like one of my favorites is a 12-year bourbon. And that to me is just the flavor profile is amazing. So we're going to do a lot of testing in our facility on, temperature, where we're going to age it, how it's going to age, is it going to be, in climate control, stuff like that. So age is definitely something that we're gonna really look into and check that out.
So you've been thinking about this for 3 years, or working on it?
Probably more. I mean, the business plan was basically signed 3 years ago, but this has been probably an 8-year-ish project.
Right. The first time I heard of you was probably a year and a half or 2 years ago. You started marketing for this. And what marketing tactics, again, this is marketing company, marketing podcast. Yeah. We've talked a lot about booze. Yeah. What marketing tactics have you taken? What have you seen work? What have you seen not work? Talk a little bit about how you've gotten the message out to the people.
We did a video early on, which was, you've seen it. It was successful. It was a really, when you have an idea, it's only an idea. It's very difficult to get that idea into action. There's a lot of things that have to happen, and this was a distillery is a costly venture.
You know better than
yeah,
anybody.
it takes funds, and there's a lot of things that need to be done. There's a lot of regulations, stuff like that. So the video sort of took us into it. It sort of brought the idea. It brought some form, some life to just an idea. So for us, that was kind of a critical moment, getting that video out, people seeing it and realizing that, we invested in this video, we did it right, we thought, and it made us more legitimate and kind of put some teeth to it. So we did the video. We got out, the website, we did the website right out. You got to have a landing page somewhere for somebody to go and just say, oh, okay, this is legit. So we did the web page. We did some print. We spoke to the media a lot. We got a lot of advertising that way too as well. So just doing a lot of the little things.
Yeah. So where did you guys put that video when you created it?
So we put it on our website. I did a lot of grassroots stuff. So, building my email list, my contact list. A lot of them just went out to the people I knew. Some people I didn't know. But we just, we had a couple like iPad things made up where you just hit the play button, and so I was handed some of those out. But it was a lot of traveling back up to Boston to some folks I knew up there, and getting word out up there. We eventually want to distribute product up there, so that was important at the time. So it's a lot of grassroots and just really telling, there are a couple rules to a product that I'll never forget. We used to say it a lot in my last company. It's make a good product, make it easy to buy, and tell everybody about it. So those three things are I'll always focus on those three things, and we're not making it quite yet, and maybe give us about another week, but it's that you got to tell everybody about it. And that's where you guys come in.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've definitely done a lot of work on the social media side, on the Facebook and Instagram side, especially. In the Instagram, it's funny, every time we do something for you on Instagram, I mean, people just go nuts about it. They are ready. People are ready.
That's a credit to some of the work you guys do. So
well, it's a credit to your craft as well. People are excited about this. People, again, you've been out meeting and greeting people for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Likable guy, and you got a lot of people that want to see this thing succeed.
Thank you.
So you've done a great job.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else that I want to discuss through this, but this is an opportunity for you if you want to talk more about anything that we maybe missed.
No, there's a lot of great questions. One thing I just want to thank, I want to thank all my, thank my wife for kind of putting up with me these last couple of years. Without her, honestly, I wouldn't have been able to get this far. All my family, we've had a tough year, I think, with my sister-in-law's passing, and that hasn't been easy. So it puts things into perspective, so we're going to pay tribute to Sheila and make sure this thing is done right. And so I wanted to say that. The other thing is my GC, Robert Paw, who's with Bill Bryant and Associates. He's been an unbelievable resource, and that guy could probably open a distillery too at this point, but very knowledgeable about everything. We call him the Wizard. And then really all my other contractors and vendors, everybody else that's really helped out and put this project together. City of Vero Beach, the county, we need some work there, but there are lots of people that have supported me, and I'm happy to invest in Vero and invest in this city and this town, and putting my blood, sweat, tears, and money into this thing. And I have confidence in Vero and this town, and I'm excited. I'm really excited, and can't wait to see this thing go.
It's going to be really exciting for
Yeah.
everyone, especially now that we are this close. I mean, a couple of weeks, and
Yeah.
you guys will be, you'll be sipping on this at the
Yeah.
bar, at one of those couches,
Yeah.
or smoking a cigar outside. It's going to be really cool, and I'm very proud of you and happy for you, and,
Thank
and I
you.
can't wait to get in there, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that the listeners and viewers all feel the same.
We have food too. A lot of people. Couple people have asked me recently. I haven't started to jump in. We also have a full menu. So our menu should be up online.
It will be up there this week, I promise.
Okay, this week.
That's my job.
Yeah,
It'll get done.
check out the menu. We have some real nice food that we're going to be kicking out of the kitchen. So keep an eye on that too as well.
Yeah, awesome. I cannot wait to be in there as a patron and not as a videographer or marketing.
We got a seat for you.
Yeah, all right. I can't wait.
Special seat.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Jeff.
All right.
I have a few things here for you. This was something that we did early on in our podcast and kind of
Awesome.
off the table, but there's some
Cool.
things that you might be able to stick some hooch
Very
in.
nice.
Yep, a hat. There's some stickers in there. And,
Very nice. I'll
yeah.
tell you what. You can. We'll a trade. We'll extend you our marquee, our first
Oh,
bottle of bourbon there.
look at
So,
that.
Yeah.
All right.
So a little trade.
All right. Well, if it weren't, I don't know, 10:45 in the morning, we'd probably be
On a
popping
Monday.
this, but on a Monday, but a Friday at 5, this will get popped.
We'll come by.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you
Awesome,
very
man.
much.
Yeah,
Thanks again
thank
for
you.
coming on.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, bud.